Tonight, a fallout with the MAGA faithful.
The hurt feelings and the slight damage was done.
Why some of President Trump's biggest proponents have started peddling back their support. Plus, claims of genocide in Gaza.
This crime must stop immediately.
The latest on Israel's war to root out Hamas. And lifestyle steps you can take to help prevent Alzheimer's disease. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. President Trump facing criticism from some of his staunchest supporters. Good evening in Washington. I'm Jenna Browder. A Reuters Ipsos poll out today shows the president with his lowest approval rating of his second term. It's fallen to just 40%. His support remains strong among Republicans, but because of some recent actions by the administration, that could be receding too among some MAGA faithful. We begin tonight with CBN News Chief Political Analyst David Brody. David.
Jenna, thanks. Look, bottom line is President Trump has received rave reviews overall from MAGA, but recently some military interventions have not gone well inside the MAGA base, at least partly inside the MAGA base, along with the Epstein files. And that has critics wondering at this point whether or not some fences can be mended between President Trump and MAGA. For the first 5 months, the second Trump administration saw nothing but smooth sailing. But now, some of his biggest cheerleaders are threatening to abandon the team.
Burn, baby, burn.
The far right inside MAGA are done.
We are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam in American history.
I voted for none of this. He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for.
Inside the movement, especially the No Forever War crowd, there's deep concern with a number of Trump's moves, including the surprise push to arm Ukraine against Russia and bombing Iran, risking another war. For the influential Elon Musk, it came down to the spending in the big, beautiful bill. Popular Trump-friendly podcaster Joe Rogan has complained about ICE raids targeting non-criminals, and the president mentioning the idea of a special work program for illegal migrant farm workers has riled up the base as well.
If I was in the Oval Office, I would say respectfully, Mr. President, MAGA does not want any form of amnesty. Not a work program, not amnesty.
And then there's the handling of the Epstein files. The entire MAGA base calling for transparency, names, and answers, seeing all of this as a deep state cover-up. President Trump just wants it to go away and sees it as a distraction to his winning agenda. He's lashed out at the faithful who won't let it rest by calling them weaklings and saying he doesn't want their future support.
That kind of thing really rocked people more than anything.
Bobby Eberle is a GOP strategist from Texas.
When the name calling starts being directed at us, that's where people, I think, really reacted. And kind of the hurt feelings and the slight damage was done.
The million-dollar question, is this a MAGA marriage spat or something worse?
As far as full wholesale support, I think it is limited to the edges. I think it does affect that enthusiasm. We need to be as strong as possible, and this is one of those energy moments.
David, thank you for that reporting. Let's also bring in senior White House correspondent Kelly Wright. Gentlemen, good to have you both with us this evening. David, let's start with your reporting. You listed, MAGA's hang-ups with this administration. What do you see as the deepest, most problematic for President Trump?
Well, it's the Epstein files. I don't think there's any question about it. And Jenna, there's a reason this isn't going away. I mean, this is hitting on all MAGA cylinders. And this is where the White House has underestimated this. They thought it would just be kind of a thorny issue and it'll just kind of go by the wayside. Here's why it hasn't, Jenna. Because it hits on the transparency issue, right? This has been the most transparent administration that MAGA believes ever, but not on this issue. And that's a problem because, remember, it all starts with MAGA distrusting pretty much every federal government official out there. They're not fans of the federal government. So you're hitting on the transparency issue, you're hitting on the distrust issue, you're hitting on the deep state issue, all of that. And then, of course, you've got the actual content itself. They want justice for the sexual assault victims, the sexual trafficked victims. So you have a moral component as well. There's too many components here to ignore, and that's why this is just not going away.
Yeah, Kelly, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, he met with Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell last week in Florida. Can you give us any color on that? And do you think the president is seriously considering a pardon for Maxwell?
Well, look, to your first question about Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and having his moment of questioning with Ghislaine Maxwell, who was the person who got all the people into the Epstein circle, if you will. The questioning that went on, they were trying to get some more information to ascertain some more information from her. She's in jail, as we know. We don't know how much she was able to retrieve or how much she gave, because she wants some sort of quid pro quo, that she gets some sort of leniency. And then in terms of pardoning, the president has already said that's way down the road. And really, one would suspect that he wouldn't even consider that, given the blowback that he's received from MAGA base as well as Republicans on Capitol Hill, who have stated that if they question her and call her into a congressional hearing, there will be no immunity.
Yeah. David, why do you think we still know so little about Donald Trump's relationship with Epstein and all of this? Why not release more information if you're the White House?
Well, you know what? If I would scratch my head, I might smear my makeup because that's a good question, Jenna. It is head scratching. You would think Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, one of the three, if not all three, would get together and say, look, here's why we can't release what's out there or what we have, and just give the reasons. But they're not doing it. They're making it far worse. And I think politically there are problems here for the Republican Party, excuse me. And that's because in the midterms, Jenna, I've got to tell you, if you look at Georgia, here's a good example. President Trump won Georgia. He had 2.6 million voters that voted for him. If you lose 5% of them or so, that's about 170,000 or so voters. He only won Georgia by about 150,000 votes or so. So if you get 5% less of MAGA showing up in the midterms, that's just a problem. So once again, this isn't a huge MAGA issue as it relates to 90% of the base, but even 5%, 10% will be a real problem if MAGA doesn't show up in the midterms.
Kelly, do you have a sense that is the White House worried that we could still be talking about this time next year when the midterms come around?
I think, to be honest, the White House is frustrated with this. They want to get the messaging out, and they want to get it out correctly. The president has already given Attorney General Pam Bondi the go-ahead to put more information out there as it is relatable to what she has already seen and what she has to reveal in terms of following the law. And the transparency issue is something that's very important, to David's point. And the messaging just seems to be wrong. The president is trying to deal with it and talking about, in dribs and drabs, some of the relationships that he's had with Epstein and pulling away from him because of certain things that happened within their friendship, and him pushing back on him, saying he's not someone that he couldn't trust. But all of this comes out into the public, and it's not just the Republican and MAGA base, it's also the Democrats who will pounce on this continually to actually weaken the president's strength, not just with his base, but also with the Republicans and even some independents who voted for him.
David, you know, you have a really good sense for people out in the rest of the country, not here in Washington or New York or on the coasts, but how do you think people, MAGA voters out just in middle America, are responding to this? Is most of the criticism really coming from just the loudest voices, that the influencers and those types? Do the people out in the country really feel that strongly too? Well,
so just to confirm, you're saying I'm not drinking too much of the Potomac water. I think that's what you're trying to say, Jenna, right? Look, here's the thing. Does it bother all of MAGA the way this has gone down? Yes, absolutely. Is it a line in the sand for the majority of MAGA? It is not. Now, having said that, it's very important to all of MAGA, so I don't want to discount this at all. But there's going to be that 5 to 10%. That's kind of my kind of spidey sense figure on this, where this is a line in the sand, that this is a bridge too far. Yeah. And I think that's where we're at. Kelly, just a few seconds left, but today the Fed announced that it will not lower interest rates. What's the White House saying tonight?
It comes as no surprise to the President of the United States. He expected Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, to actually do exactly what he did, which is not to lower interest rates. He does expect that they will be lowered in September. as the president has affectionately called the Fed Chair Jerome Powell, too late Powell. And that's exactly what he's talking about.
Okay, Kelly, David, great panel as always. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Jenna.
In other news, most of the tsunami warnings issued after that Russian earthquake have been downgraded tonight. Yesterday, a massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Russia, one of the strongest quakes ever recorded. Tsunami warnings were issued for about 20 nations and territories, including Japan, Alaska, Hawaii, and parts of the U.S. West Coast. In Russia, waves swept away buildings in the Kuril Islands. High waves came ashore in one Japanese coastal town. And in Hawaii, cars clogged roads and gas stations as people left their beachfront hotels hoping to stay above water.
They told us that we could do the elevated evacuation. We're at the outrigger right on the beach, but we didn't feel comfortable with that. So we decided just to get out and go to higher ground.
And tonight, most of the warnings have been downgraded and evacuation orders have been lifted in Hawaii and Los Angeles County. So far, no reports of major damage or loss of life. All right, coming up, accusations of genocide in Gaza. We examine the growing criticism. Welcome back. President Trump is pushing to deliver more aid to Gaza as outcry grows at home and abroad over the hunger crisis there. The president says the U.S. will partner with Israel to run new food centers. The few details have been given. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says there is no starvation, while aid groups warn of famine conditions and widespread malnutrition. Planes were seen dropping aid over Gaza today, and Israel is pausing fighting in certain areas to facilitate food delivery. Meanwhile, Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff is headed to the region to focus on the humanitarian situation and a ceasefire hostage deal. And for more on this, Jeff Balaban joins us now. He is Senior Counsel for International and Governmental Affairs with the American Center for Law and Justice. Jeff, welcome. Great to have you with us.
Great to be here.
So we're hearing the word genocide more and more as it relates to Gaza. From a legal perspective, can you explain what actual genocide is in terms of international law, Jeff?
Sure. Well, genocide as a term was first invented after the Holocaust, because it was the first time there was an industrialized attempt to wipe out an entire people, race, religion, however we want to define Jews. Then they defined it racially, and so I actually wrote the exact language. It's a UN chartered intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group as such. And it is clear, could not be more clear, that Israel is doing the exact opposite. Israel is trying to preserve as many of the racial, ethnic, religious people in Gaza, people known as Palestinians, as they can, despite the fact that they are waging an actual genocidal war against the Jews and Israel.
Why do you think these accusations are coming then? If they're increasing by the day, it seems.
Sure. Well, the accusations, the interesting reality of anti-Semitism, of Jew hatred, is that it morphs as the need happens, right? So literally since the time of the Bible, we were introduced even at the time of Abraham, but certainly at the time of Pharaoh and Joseph and the tribes, the accusation of the Jews being somehow subversive, somehow evil. Jews are always the evil. We are both the capitalists and the communists, socialists. We are both the ones who are separate and we're trying to intrude into societies.
The scapegoat.
It's always a scapegoat, and that's the truth. The truth is whenever there's an interest to pursue power or another agenda, it will turn to find some narrative about the Jews. Actually, the best definition that was ever given to me was given by a Christian who lives in Israel, a young man who said, Jeff, I'm not a scholar. I don't really understand this. I'm a simple guy, but it looks to me like if you hate God, you can't take a punch at him, so what do? You take a punch at a Jew. And that really explains all of this.
Now, some are comparing this to genocides like the ones we've seen in Rwanda, in Bosnia. Others disagree. Others are saying, Hamas could end all of this suffering by just basically surrendering. How do you see that distinction, Jeff?
100%. So there are two aspects of this. And one is the negative, which is responding to the assertion. I don't think it's necessary to look at the fact. It's so obvious. Israel's done everything it can to preserve human life. No military in history has waged war with such care and such precision. Now, we see destruction. That's because Gaza turned itself into an entire terrorist base, the entire thing. That said, we should look at where this is coming from, why it's happening, and what's driving it. And the truth is, look at Israel. Israel not only provides health care to the terrorists of Gaza, even during wartime, and not, but in Israel itself, at this point, people don't realize this. More than half the medical and healthcare personnel in Israel are Arabs. So Israel is completely integrated in this regard. Healthcare is provided to Arabs by Jews and Arabs. It's to Jews by Jews and Arabs. And all this narrative is other people trying to create this idea that Israel is stealing land from another nation that never existed in history. You know, they claim Jesus was a Palestinian. There were no temples. All of this narrative is genocidal. It's intended to say that Israel is occupying somebody else's land and must be destroyed. Yeah. Truth is, it's the exact opposite.
All right, Jeff Balaban with the American Center for Law and Justice. It's great to have you in studio with us here. Thank you for coming in and talking on this very important topic. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, coming up, fighting Alzheimer's disease, the lifestyle changes researchers say could boost your brain. That's next. Well, some good news in the fight against Alzheimer's. 2 new studies find that simple lifestyle changes, like eating more plant-based foods, getting regular exercise, and even taking brisk walks can help slow memory loss. Researchers say people who made these changes saw their brains age more slowly and showed fewer signs of dementia. It's not a cure necessarily, but doctors do believe these everyday habits could help patients delay the impact of Alzheimer's by years. CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson joins us now to talk about this good news. Lori, good to see you. So this is not the only research that shows really lifestyle changes can help prevent Alzheimer's. You've been reporting on this for a lot of years.
That's right. And so often we see more and more research coming out that shows lifestyle factors can help prevent Alzheimer's and in some cases even reverse these symptoms of Alzheimer's. And so we're talking about all kinds of things. In fact, many studies have suggested that there are about 40 different things that cause Alzheimer's, lifestyle factors, and if we address each and every one of them, we can really reduce our chances of developing Alzheimer's, or even if we have those early stages of Alzheimer's, reduce those symptoms.
Yeah, you know, I've heard some people calling it Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes, having to do a lot with our diet, the sugar that we eat. Can you talk a little bit more about the things we know contribute to this disease?
That's right. Within the medical community, a lot of people refer to Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes because we know that type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is a major factor with Alzheimer's disease as well. And when we talk about insulin resistance, we're talking about consuming too much sugar generally and too many refined carbohydrates, which break down to sugar within our bodies. So with many people, really changing that diet, getting that sugar and those refined carbs, the processed food out of our diet is step number 1.
You know, Lori, in the story that we had leading up to bringing you on, we talked about eating more plant-based foods. Would you also add, you know, like proteins and things like that to that list?
Absolutely. And things like fish oil, there are more detailed studies that show that Alzheimer's can be sometimes attributed to vitamin deficiencies like vitamin D deficiency and things like toxins, mold in your house, even bacterial infections that have made their way to our brains, like Lyme disease. So you can be tested for so many different things like this, and different things in your diet. Exercise is huge. Getting that oxygen pumping and getting that oxygen to your brain is enormous. Getting the right kind of sleep, getting plenty of sleep. The list goes on and on.
Yeah, it is kind of a good news, bad news scenario, isn't it? The good news is that there are definitely things that we can do that you've mentioned to prevent Alzheimer's. But, the bad news maybe for some is that a lot of it, it's more difficult than taking a pill when we're talking about these lifestyle changes. It does seem, Lori, it really comes down to personal responsibility.
Absolutely. And, I've reported over the years about the Bredesen protocol, and I'm actually on it because it is a way to help prevent Alzheimer's. And I've actually had some viewers contact me and say, Lori, this Protestant protocol is really hard. And I agree, it is kind of hard. And it's hard to eat right. It's hard to exercise and monitor your vitamins and so on and so forth. And check to see if you have mold in your carpet and things like that. And yeah, it's easier to take a pill. But right now, there really isn't that effective of a pill or a medication for Alzheimer's, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the ones that are out there, right, are really expensive. Isn't that right?
Really expensive and not that effective. They can really sometimes only slow the progression of Alzheimer's by a few months. And also the side effects can be quite serious, like brain bleeding and brain swelling, Jenna.
Yeah. All right, CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson. Always good to see you, Lori. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
And still ahead, a World War II veteran celebrates 102 years of life. That's next on Faith Nation.
Download the CBN News app. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Watch CBN News Channel live. CBN News, because truth matters. Get the CBN News app today.
Finally tonight, a celebration of an American hero and over a century of life well lived. Harold Terrence is almost 102 years old, and he was recently joined by family and friends to celebrate his upcoming birthday. Terrence served in World War II, repairing planes returning from France so they could rejoin the battle. Since then, he's created a family of 35. He says 2 of his highlights in life are being honored by the French in 2024 and marrying his wife at the age of 100 in Paris.
I thought that was top of the line, the highlight of my life. But today is, I'm so overwhelmed and blessed.
And blessed. Terrence says one thing he missed out on was a traditional Jewish ceremony marking the beginning of adulthood. He will finally get to enjoy that ceremony early next year. And happy birthday to him, and indeed a life well lived. That is going to do it for Faith Nation this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.